Hi, this is Chris Vaughn, strategist, creator, disruptor, and catalyst in chief at In Her Company. Welcome to our 7th episode. Can you believe it? Of 90 days. Today, we are going to discuss vision, mission, and vehicle. So, if you're like me, I'm sure many of you probably have notebooks and journals. They're filled with dreams, ideas, visions, and plans, some which have yet to be. I'm also certain that for some of you, though, these same journals are painful reminders of ideas that never came about, plans that went awry or never came to fruition, and dreams that resulted in great disappointment, maybe even hopes unfulfilled. It is not that you've given up all hope, because if you had, you wouldn't be listening to this now. It's more that at times you just simply would rather not, and so you dare not. Before we dive into this discussion, though, on vision and mission, I want you to know something. It is as important to catch a vision for yourself and your life as great as the one you have for anything else. That includes your business, but not only your business. And where you can be inspired by someone else's vision, dreams, mission, you can't borrow vision from anyone. Gaining the answers you seek, yeah, it can be difficult. It takes time to peel back layers and to address things we never realized that we were carrying. But the vision for yourself and life requires more than the shell or facade that you show others that would have you to treat this as yet another empty exercise, because I guarantee you it is not. It requires a willingness to go beneath the surface and a refusal to accept that where you are is it. It also requires releasing a few items to make it easier to travel light on your journey. Items like releasing shoulda, coulda, woulda, because believe it or not, in time, that may have changed too. Releasing any mistakes or missteps, because in time, you may discover they were anything but. It also requires putting some distance between the person you were then, the person you are now, and allowing that distance between the person that you hope to be. So let's pause here for just a moment. I want you to notice how it feels this moment, not to be burdened, to not feel weighed down, to be just you, and to know that you are free. I want you to be able to look around and to take notice of the glimmers that remain. True enough, they may be spread throughout our journals in spite of being crumpled, hidden, wrinkled, even torn, maybe even intentionally stored away. Some of those glimmers may have even called to you over the years, but you could not or did not want to hear them. But they've been waiting for you, for they are yours and only yours. And now you see them through new eyes. It's time to dream boldly, wildly, and impossibly again. But this time, with intention and structure to support it, and confidence of what the world stands to gain because of you. Now, vision and mission are often used interchangeably. However, they are different and serve two different, albeit complementary purposes. Vision paints an image of the future that you seek to create. It is concrete, achievable, points to a specific destination and possibly within a certain time frame. It should be tangible, highly focused, energizing, and support the mission. Mission, however, is the fundamental reason for you or your company's existence. Sometimes we get a sense of this through things that we have an affinity for without any explanation. We just do. It provides guidance and direction, while the expression of this mission may change over time. The mission itself does not, though. And unlike vision, it may be something that can never be achieved, but is still worth the pursuit. So now that we have the definitions clear, let's take a step back to vision. And I want to start with an example of my first vision board. So if you've seen a picture, you see mention of my core values, which is God first, family second, all else third. There's a reminder for me time with the heart drawn over it, and some other things I like representing travel, tea, places I want to visit, and things I want to do. So it makes for a great social media photo, right? But if you look closely, it's not too much else. And it was a couple of weeks later that I realized I had actually made a vision board with no vision. How about that? Because there are no goals or images symbolizing what I hope to accomplish or to move toward at the time. And while having my core values displayed was a good thing, solely practicing them was not going to move me forward without establishing both a trajectory and some very real action steps to support it. But this is how many first vision boards turn out. We take our board, we fill them with random items, photos, images from magazines, and then we nicely decorate them to top it off. Mine was simply a like board, i.e. a brain dump. But it's a good first step as part of the exercise, but it's not where we want to settle. Brain dumps help clear our minds of thoughts, ideas, general nervousness in order to make room for what's ahead. And brainstorms remove limitations, allowing even the craziest of ideas to be voiced without scrutiny. But your after was beyond the brain dump, because there is where your answers lie. So after this first board with no vision, I opted for an approach that quickly brought clarity and enabled me to hone in on areas that stood out. And rather than creating lists, I began looking for common threads and themes in my life, areas where I felt led or a sense of belonging that I needed to delve further. I also allowed myself to examine why. And this is the key. This is key in determining if we are A, fulfilling dreams and expectations that we assumed were our own, but they are not. B, attempting to create ventures around things that would be better for us to just simply enjoy. One of the examples I had, because I've done that, as you know, I'm vegan. And so I started this blog called The Healthy Fridge, because I'm like, hey, I want to make it simple for anybody to eat better, live healthier lives. Good idea, right? Except for even after I did an expo, even after I got, a few well-received blog posts, it started to be a chore. I wanted to take pictures of each and every meal before sitting down with my family. When I went to the farmer's market, I was looking for, what would be the best photo and what about the lighting here? And even when I was making recipes to share on the blog, taking photos of that. I love being vegan, didn't enjoy the blog. So that was an interest that, yeah, I have a lifestyle, but it was better for me to enjoy it than to try to create this venture around it. So short-lived blog. And then C, if it's something that we truly like versus only the idea of it, because there's a difference. There's so many great things, so many amazing things happening in this world. You hear it on the news, you definitely see it with some pretty great visuals in some cases when you scroll through social media, but actually doing something versus the ideal of that, you got to make sure which is which. So all of a sudden, my list of random items no longer appeared so random with this method. With common things overlaying, I was able to see not only order, but patterns and groupings for some of them and what could loosely be considered a plan. Other items emerged as outliers. They were truly random. And I was able to quickly identify them as distractions and discard them. So, yay, that was a win. But now it's your turn. Through this, remember I said, these are working sessions. So I want you to get out your notebook and take some time to think about these recurring themes, these threads, which we mentioned in our last episode on multi-passionate women, how we view things not as like kind, but what common threads run through our lives. Because some of those things are usually associated with past experiences, interactions, but not always. And what I want you to do also is jot these down. And in light of this, consider what it is that you want to accomplish or the overall direction that you want your life to take. My common themes in life are strength, faith, and women. Who would imagine? And, the important thing, though, also is while you are doing these exercises, don't allow current situations or circumstances to influence or interfere. So, what should you give thought to while we're talking about vision? Like, how do you want your life to look? Number one, what does your daily routine look like? Where do you live? How does the area sound? Can you see the sunset? How does it feel to just be you within that space? Another question, number two, how do you envision yourself in 2 years, 5 years, maybe even 10? What does your quality of life look like? Where do you spend your time? Who are your friends? Where do you vacation? Number three, what do you want people to say about you? What do you want your accomplishments or your work to be? And then number four, of course, what is the legacy you want to leave? How do you want your work to speak beyond you? So here is where pursuing something out of habit and counterfeit dreams, this exercise is where that ends. Because oftentimes a career path, a career track, especially if, those who are employed, they have a set schedule and these are the things that you follow in order to reach the next level, in order to, dare you believe, reach the top. And it's very easy to go from school to employer and you're still following this path. And it's like, hey, this is what I want, and maybe not. And you wind up fulfilling a dream, but it's not yours. So it's a counterfeit. And when you begin to recognize what doesn't align with you and what you truly want, you also are able to determine which opportunities are best left to someone else and to have your mental space free for better things, even if they have yet to be. The clearer and the more honest that you are with yourself, because after all, you're not sharing this exercise with anyone. You don't have to, not even with us. But one person you have to be honest with is yourself. And so the more honest you are with yourself, the easier it will be to lead a more integrated, aligned life. So take time to think about those questions, answer them thoroughly, and summarize it in a way that actually captures your vision. And then begin to plot a course that enables you to run your heart out toward it and support your overarching mission. Because its expression may change based on season, experience, location, environment, etc. Because we already mentioned that mission does not change, but the way it's expressed, i.e. carried out, can. So to explore mission, once again, number one, identify common threads, repeated themes that come up time and time again throughout your life. Number two, revisit memories and past experiences that for some reason stand out. Try to determine what they were really about, what made them stand out. Number three, note any overlaps between them. 4, life lessons. What are some of your life lessons that you honestly believe others would benefit from? Because these may become your topics. Dare I say, not trying to scare you, these may become your speaking points, speakers. And number 5, what is it you believe is missing from the world, or what is it you want to be your gift to the world? In other words, you, because you are a gift in yourself, but you in action. I want you to summarize each of these into a phrase or only one sentence. And yeah, I know that can be hard, but depend on the number of things you jot down. A phrase, you're going to be thankful for that later. A phrase and simply one sentence. Summarize each of them. Jot it right down, right next to it. And lastly, layer this insight gained previously from this series to potentially uncover your purposeful mission. And if one thing stands out above the rest, focus on that one and jot down any possible meaning along with any ideas or thoughts you have about it. And don't be surprised if your responses lead you right back to where you are locally. I can tell you a number of women have found that they were previously blinded. What they were searching for was right in front of them. But armed with a better perspective and new insight, they were able to see clearly and discard ideas about what looked good versus what ultimately mattered. And if there are several possibilities while you're doing this exercise, hello, multi-passionate. Begin eliminating any that are more similar than distinct, i.e., there are different words that we use that have the same meaning, or they have the same basis but lead to a different customer. Now, for the latter, the foundation is the key because what is built on top of it may have several applications. Doing this should help you quickly narrow to 3 distinct or semi-distinct possibilities. And one of these will more than likely appeal to you more than the others. But regardless, don't base your decision on what you can do. Challenge yourself with what you could do. Because after all, you're a woman on a mission. But this time, we're talking about your mission. A sample vision or mission statement, I don't provide those. I do not provide a sample vision or mission statements because I want you to get used to creating something uniquely yours, listening to your own voice, and writing in the tone of your own words. It's been my experience that when sample statements are provided, people focus more on trying to shape or conform their words to the language presented and pour their thoughts into words that cannot contain them. They end up with a statement that looks good on paper, but it sounds like any other one spoken. And on top of that is absent of the life, energy, and motivation to carry it forward. Your full vision mission will, of course, be longer, But the purpose of the sentence or two you draft is to make it easily digestible, understandable, repeatable if necessary, that you can readily embrace it, and along with any others who may share in your journey. Both contain seeds of the way forward, the vehicles best suited to carry out and or fulfill your vision or mission. You'll get to craft that too. Your homework. Yes, there's homework, even though you've been working through this session. Your homework is number 1. I want you to take what you did in the exercise and vision and make a vision statement. Just summarize it. And ask yourself if you're surprised by what you really want versus what you've been pursuing. Number 2, do the exact same thing for the mission statement. Number 3, I want you to consider both when shaping the vehicles best to carry out your vision and mission, the possibilities, the applications, and the outcomes it may lead to. And then number 4, I want you to tell me where you're headed next. How you do that? Share a photo of your notebook from this exercise or from elsewhere in the series, what you've done up to this point. I want you to use the hashtag InHerCoPodcast and tell me, how was this for you? What's your vision or mission statement if you care to share it? But in a nutshell, just where you're headed to next. Because the path will definitely be worth it. The world will be better for it. Thank you for listening to the In Her Company podcast. In Her Company is produced and hosted by me, Chris Vaughn, audio production and administration by Organized Chaos. A huge thanks to the In Her Company team and community of catalysts supporting the show. Connect with us on Instagram at InHerCo_ and join our Substack at inhercompany.substack.com. For more information about In Her Company, our guests, or sponsorships, visit www.inher.co, not .com.